to the Political Trenches Local Government at Work. Our guest today is Claire Bolduc, prefect for the MRC of Témiscamingue since 2018 and a member of the board of directors of the Fédération québécoise de Municipalities. Madame Bolduc, Claire, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much to invite me.
So I want to start off with a simple question. In your opinion, how would you describe the current state of municipalities in the province of Quebec?
We are recognized since 2015 as a proximity governments, and it's a big confirmation of the importance of our role, but it's still difficult. The major issue with for all the municipality, even it's a small municipality or big city, is to get equity with the governmental services. But for the municipalities to be recognized as a proximity government, it's an important fact that we say to the citizens, you need something, you have to talk to your municipal council, you have to talk to your mayor or the councillors, you have to work with them, and they have to work with you. Knowing that, then we can organize and arrange some services for the population. We can get some infrastructures, but the most difficult part is to get government services in our every places, in every territories. Sometimes it's very, very difficult.
I'd like to address, if I can, Claire, the unique nature of local government in Quebec. If you have experience looking across the country, what do you see as unique about Quebec's local governments that maybe we don't see elsewhere?
We have specific budgets. We get some specific budgets, and we can do exactly what we want with that budget without having to ask permission or authorizations from the government. And every place, they have the choice to do what they need to do for the population, knowing the specific issues in a municipality or in a city or in a territory, because the MRCs, we call all the area, the territories. Mm-hmm. So we just have to decide, knowing what are the needs and the important issues of our citizens. We don't have to ask permission. We don't have, it's a very, very important part of what we can do. And the amount is quite comfortable for a small place like the Témiscamingue area. It's based on the dimensions. We have 19,000 square kilometers in Témiscamingue area. It's a big place, but with a very small population. We are less than 16,000 people. So we have some issues and we have some realities. It's not the same when you are, for example, in Saint-Hyacinthe near Montreal, or at Nicolet near Trois-Rivières. So we decide what we need and what to do with that kind of money. And no one has to tell us you do right or you do wrong. We decide. And it's an important part of the recognition of the proximity government. The other thing for me, it's that we have some actions to do right now. For example, for the climate change and all the climate issues we already have and we will have in the future. And it's based exactly on what are the realities, what are the things, how are they going in a specific place, and then what do you suggest to do, what do you project to do, and how can we help you? So we have some funds to make that plan, that climate plan, and then to make specific actions in that climate plan without having permission from Quebec. They look over our shoulders. just to check we use the money correctly, but they don't tell us you have to pay for the water supply, you have to pay for the garbages. We decide. It's on the border of the rivers or the lake. We work on that point. It's about heat. In French, we say îlots de chaleur, places where the heat is going very high during summer because there is some only artificial structures and no trees and no green plants. So we don't have to get their permission. We choose what are the specific issues we want to work on with our population, and we work on that. Mm-hmm. So it's a possibility, it's a facility for the municipalities that it's very, very important for us and for our population.
You mentioned a couple of major issues, climate change and finance.
Yes.
Are from the Federation perspective, what other big issues are facing local government in Quebec at the moment?
We, in the municipalities in the town, we want to diversify our revenues. The most important part of the budget for the cities come from the properties, what we call in French, l'évaluation municipale, the municipal evaluation of the properties, and the tax that are imposed to those with that evaluation. It's the most important part of our budget, and it's hard because it's always the same person, the same citizen. We take money at only one place in the pocket of the citizen. Mm-hmm. And it's hard because they pay for taxes for the government, and the income tax for the government, the municipal taxes. It's always the same citizen and the same pocket with the same money. So we want to have the opportunity to diversify our revenues in the municipality, and the Fédération, la Fédération québécoise des municipalités, the Quebec Municipality Federation works hard on that specific point. It's very a big issue because we have to offer some services to our population. I mentioned the water supply, the worst water, the garbages, the road, the security in the municipality, all the culture and sports activities. We have to offer a lot of services to our population, but we don't have that much money. And if we can have some other sources of revenue, it will be very, very a good thing. For example, a lot of municipalities in Quebec have that kinds of revenue. They have some éoliennes, they have some hydro project, small hydro project, and they can get some specific revenue, and they can have some specific infrastructure for their population or specific projects for their population without having to ask people to pay for that or government to pay for that. So it's important for us, and we work hard on that point.
I'm going to jump in, and Témiscamingue is more of a rural community. It is not a large urban center like Montreal, Quebec City, Trois-Rivières. Is there a difference with issues that are affecting larger urban centers rather than rural communities? And as the prefect of your community, how do you address those rural issues when we see a heavily focus from the province on more urban issues?
You're right. It's very different. The rural issues are, for example, all the distances between the services and the population, all the small population in a big place to get some services. I talked earlier about government services, but in the cities, there is a big number of people, of persons who are asking for services. And sometimes it's a lot of people, a lot of voters for the government. So we have to work very hard to make to be sure that our issues are just be heard in the government, because we don't make that much noise with a small population. If you are 1 million person, like it is the reality in Montreal, instead of 16,000 persons in Montreal comes, I think Montreal comes at least 20 times in the Témiscamingue area. You can have 20 Montreal place at the Témiscamingue area, but we are not 1 million person. We are only 16,000. So knowing that, you understand that the government, the responsibility of the government is to create equity and équilibre between all the communities, but we don't make that much noise to be heard. So it's the point. It's really hard. And we can say all around in province of Quebec, we have rural communities, but every communities has different issues and different problematics. So what I consider as a problem with the distance, for example, it's not the same when you are near Montreal, like near Joliette, or near Quebec City, or near Lévis. So every small places, small communities in large places, we have some specific issues, and it's very hard to have only one voice. It's what the Fédération québécoise et Municipalités gives us, a strong and very loud voice for all the communities and all the regions. And it's very important for us to be part of it and to contribute to the discussions and to make, we want to be sure that our issues are very well understood. And it is with la Fédération québécoise et Municipalités, they are making a great job to represent the regions. So it's very important for us. And we don't have the same capability that Montreal has or Quebec City has. So we have to get that kind of voice to make sure our issues are at least heard and then understood.
I can't imagine.
Understood.
Yeah, I can't imagine yourself or Warden Scott Pierce, Prefect Scott Pierce, being ever quiet when it comes to advocating for rural issues, because it seems like you're both as passionate as each other. I want to turn to a topic that has been making a lot of news over the last few months, particularly in the province of Quebec. And that is about recruitment for various municipal roles, whether it be administration or even council members. We're seeing a large amount of resignations in the province of Quebec.
Yes.
What do you see as the biggest barrier, and what does FQM see as the biggest barrier in attracting people to work in local government or even get involved on their local council?
You know, there is 1,114 municipal organization in province of Quebec. It's a lot, but we have it's a big province, the biggest one. So, but it's a lot of municipalities. First, second, it's a lot of work for the people who are involved in those actions. Like mayor or councillor or even administrator, it's a lot of work. And it's not that we don't pay. The municipalities don't give a big salary for the people who are making that work. It's very small recognition for the whole work. And it's, I think it's a problem. The other problem is people, they want a lot to work for their community. They are engaged. They want to do things, but it's difficult with all the rules we have to follow up with all the legislations, the regulations, the rules. it's very hard and it doesn't go so fast. People, the persons works a lot and very hard before to get only one kind of results. So it's hard. Third one, I think the citizens are sometimes very incorrect with the elected people because they are so critical. They are so sometimes angry. That's
Yeah.
the correct word.
Yep.
Sorry. Sometimes they are angry.
We've heard worse on this show about how citizens treat their elected officials across this country. So angry is the perfect word.
Thank you very much. Sometimes they are angry and they are not very respectful or polite in the communication with the elected people. And it's right during the council meeting, but sometimes it's on the media, the social media, Facebook or something like that. And it's very, very hard for the people. And knowing that, Mrs. Laforêt, the Minister of the Municipal Affairs, the government adopted a specific law in last June to protect the elected people. And it's a big part of the work of the Fédération québécoise et Municipalities on that specific point. Mr. Demers, our president, worked a lot to get that kind of legislation to protect the elected person. But it's a small effort in a big problem. The salary is a big issue. The conditions, it's not really easy. And sometimes the relationship between the people and the elected persons are hard. You know, if I have to go to the grocery to buy milk, just a bottle of milk, it can take me 2 hours. It's because everywhere I go, I'm in front of my electors. I'm with them and I have to listen to them, what's the problem they are confronted to, what are their issues, their specific issues. Sometimes it's small thing but you have to listen to the people. And sometimes some of them are really peaceful and quiet, saying their issues, but sometimes they are not. So if I absolutely need a bottle of milk in the next 5 minutes, I ask to my husband, go and buy the milk. It will be easier. You know, we are in the middle of the place with the population. So sometimes it's hard. I regret a lot that people came in the activity, the municipal council, and they have to resign of this because it's too hard for them. I regret that, but because sometimes they have good ideas, they have a big energy to dispense for the population, but the conditions are not really so easy.
Claire, are there political parties in local government anywhere in Quebec?
Yes, in Montreal, Quebec, Gatineau, Sherbrooke. In the 11 big cities in province of Quebec, there is 11 cities with more than with big population, with more than 100,000 population. In these cities, there is some political party. In a small place or rural place, there is no political party. Sometimes there is some teams and they are coming in a municipal council with a whole thing. But most of the time, it's one people having ideas and energy to work for the population. And it's the way that they are coming to the municipal council. And even in the cities where there is municipal parties, it's not necessarily parties linked with provincial political parties.
Is there legislation that would allow political parties in the
Yes.
smaller communities? It's
Yes.
possible.
It's the same. You can have a political party, but for the small places, there's no interest for that. And I think it's more family affairs sometimes, or business affairs, or group of interest affairs, more than political parties.
Yeah.
But there's no obligation, and you can have some parties, but there's not that much interest for that.
You, with the Federation, you oversee the Commission on Democracy, Institutions, and Social Development. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, we are working. We discuss with mayors, councillors from everywhere in province of Quebec, and even some director of the municipalities or of the MRCs. We want to get the biggest possibilities to have different point of view on specific subjects. Social development mean what you're working on for the in French we say milieu de vie de qualité, a good quality for your way of life, and we work on that specific point, considering all the situations, the rural situations, small cities situation, big cities situation, considering all the realities. We work on that point. We work on the cultural affair, like all the patrimonial issues we have, a lot of construction and infrastructure we have to take care. And it's also the democracy. So, for example, we discuss about the government as a specific law in 2018 on revising the electoral mode. They wanted to have we have an election for the government and prime minister based on the in French we say élection uninominale à un tour. So you have one tour of election, and the person who get the more votes get the post, win the election.
Right.
It's uninominal, one tour. But they wanted to have, in French, I'm sorry for that specific vocabulary, I miss it, but in French, we say une élection proportionnelle. You have some individuals who are elected on the base of the all the votes that citizen gave, and individuals who got the place having the second place of the votes from the citizen. It's proportional. You consider the whole picture of every political party, and you say this one, they have X, for example, 20% of the votes, even if they don't have 20% of the elected person, the deputy, they have 20% of the vote, though, so they can have some more representative. We discussed about that point. I'm sorry for the French. I don't have the specific word. The proportional. I just
proportional
don't know
representation.
Thank you very much.
No worries.
I've heard some.
My French and English are kicking in today because I promised on my show that in 2025 I will have a full-length interview with someone from Quebec in French. So I'm understanding you.
Okay, so thank you. The proportional representative, and we discussed about that. We were it was not a unique point of view that appears on our commission, and it's correct for that. But we have some university professors, we have some searchers, we have some people knowing very well other models of election facilities to discuss and to have some information about that point. We discuss also on the representative map. Every 2 elections in Quebec, we have to review the counties, where are every county, and for the representative or of the population and the distance the elected person will have to face. So every 2 elections we have to discuss about that, and it's le directeur général des élections, the general election director, who has to make that work. But we discuss about that with the commission, because it concerns big cities where there's more and more people, and they want to have more representative, and rural place where they lose people, but they don't want to lose their identity and their own representative. So we have to discuss those points and suggest. We are not decisional on those points, but we can suggest some facilities or we can suggest some way to work, way to think about that kind of issues for the general election director. And it impacts our communities, the big one and the small one. It has a real impact on every communities. So if we can suggest some kind of way to work, and we have sometimes the good reflections to inspire the government. We work on that.
I want to turn to the future, if you don't mind, for a second, because we are in 2024. We're recording this in November. In less than 1 year's time, municipalities across the province of Quebec will be heading to the election booth and casting their ballots. Now, from an outsider's perspective, traditionally during an election, that's when a lot of things are, we call here in English Canada, silly season, when things get a little bit more rambunctious than traditionally. During the next year, municipalities are faced with a lot of major pressing issues. You talked about climate change, infrastructure funding, property taxes, revenues, housing. What is priority number 1 for FQM heading into 2025, knowing that by the end of 2025, you may have a brand new set of councillors, mayors, prefects, just all around different municipalities? Is it steady as she goes, or is there a different path that the FQM takes during a municipal election season?
It's a good question, and I think it's between the two. The way that it goes for part of our work, because you cannot put those works on the side for the electoral year. So we are going to work, or we are still going to work on those files. But if we want something very specially for the habitation and the housing, for example, it's an important and very important issue. And everywhere, we need more and more place to live. We need more logement. It's a real crisis, even in Montreal, even in Ville-Marie, 2 places very, very different. There are more than 1 million people in Montreal. We are in Ville-Marie, the place where I live. It's about 2,500 people. But every place we need to have more place to live, more place to more housing. So I think it will be an important issue for the next year. And I think it will be important to understand you cannot, as a government, federal or Quebec government, you cannot have one kind of program or facilities for all the situations. It's impossible. So the point we have to discuss now, and the point we will want to make on that situation, will be we absolutely need specific program made to meet the specific issues different in every place to face the housing problem. And it's one issue very important for all of us. And it's important because we don't have that kind. It's in French, we say politique mur à mur. The same politic everywhere you are. It's all the preferences is painted in blue. So some place they need orange, some place they need green, some place they need brown, some place they need red. So can we have that kind of facility? We have that kind of facility with le Fonds Région Ruralité. The first when I thought we have some funds we can use the way we want to use it, but the link is to make to make great way of life in every communities. So we have to get that kind of facility and program or politic with the same capability for the housing, the housing issue, because it is important, and everywhere we cannot act the same. If you are in a city, you need something. You can have places with 60 places to live. In our place, if you have a program with 60, it's a lot more than we need. We have to consider every place with their own different and realities to have a good answer on that issue. And as we work hard on that, but the FQM works very hard on that point too. If it's my commission, I'm particularly concerned by that issue.
Yeah, Claire, my last question for you. You have a lot of energy and enthusiasm for what the work you do. Where does that come from? What drives you?
I'm an agronomist. I was involved in agricultural and agrologist issues. In Quebec, we recognize the importance of the Agronomic Act, and it's included in a specific legislation. I work on that. I'm an environmentalist, and with the issues we have with the climate change and the climate disorders, we have to, you cannot just close the book or close the place, close the light and say, we won't do nothing more now. We stop to live and we stay quiet because there is climate change. So we have to adapt. And I'm convinced that we can make things better for the population without closing all the place. The third one is I'm a mother and I'm a grandmother. And everything you do for those who are following us. I have 4 kids and 8 grandkids. So we want things to be better for them, knowing it's a good place to live. In Quebec and in Canada, it's still a good place to live. But we have to work hard to assure to those who are following us that the good place to live will stand and continue with us and after us. It's the way it's the biggest reason for my contribution on the municipal affairs. But as an agronomist, I know also the base to have a good life. You have to have a good place to live, housing. You have to get some food correctly, so agricultural affairs, and you have to be comfortable with a whole community. So the municipal affairs, I'm involved in that. I'm also we have a farm, my husband and I say, in French, I say, j'exploite une ferme et mon mari. In English, it will sound like I have a farm, and it's my farm where my husband works. So, but
we
it's the
actually had a
point.
question for you in a few. We were if we had time, we actually had a question about your farm because when we were doing research on you, we found out that you have a winery, and
Yes.
well, one of us on this call loves wine, and the other one's a recovering alcoholic. So maybe when we come to Quebec, we can come out to your winery.
Absolutely. It will be a pleasure to have you in our place. We have good wines. Richard won a medal with the red wine in 2024, and we were very, very proud of that. My preferred wine is the white wine for the Vignoble Domaine des Ducs. It's my white wine, but we also have a cheese made by a cheese factory near our place, made with our wine. The cheese is in French, I'm sorry. Le fromage est assuré de vin rouge with red wine. There is some red wine in the cheese, and it appears in the cheese to show how it is. So it's very it's a very I like that place. I like to have my husband making wine. And I like to drink wine.
Claire, I truly want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts, from both Ian and myself, for joining us today in the political trenches. Oh, we often get so much out of these conversations, and we are so happy that you're able to take 45 minutes out of your day and sit down with us and describe what's going on in the province of Quebec, because we often don't hear about it from Western viewpoint. So we appreciate you taking time and sitting down with us and talking about yourself, the community of Témiscamingue, but also the Fédération québécoise de Municipalities. So thank you so much.
Thank you for the invitation, and I'm very happy to. I'm sorry for my not that well. I'm sorry for my English, but it was a pleasure to discuss with you about municipal affairs in province of Quebec. Very glad to contribute to your podcast. Very interesting. Thank you very much.